1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 check check 1 2. Pretty confident this is all just going to work. You're already popped. You've been pre-popped. Chat's popped. I'm here. You can hear me. Chat's popped. I'm here. You can hear me. Is this? Chat's popped. You like this? I'm here. You can hear me. Is this? Chat's popped. You like this? I'm here. You can hear me. Is this? Hang on. It looks in the edit now. It looked locked in. I've got it locked in. It looks like it's changed now. Hang on. Hang on. Looks out to me now. Looks out to me now. But my talking looks all right. We'll be all right. We'll be all right. Hi there, Nigel. Just here, a couple of minutes early, just messing with the settings, which I've been putting a little bit forward, a little bit back in the edit. I've been doing what you said. I've been like when I move it. I've been looking at the number, like writing it down, going in the thing, moving it, changing it. At some point, I think we had it. I think we had it at some point. I can hear my dog barking in the background now. He's been looked after in the other room. There should be no trouble there. I think at some point we had it. But we're here a little bit early. I haven't done the introduction yet. Mental Health Monday, 8 p.m. GMT. Hey, that's part of the introduction. I shouldn't be saying that yet. Got your cup of tea. How are you feeling after the old England debacle? Mental Health Monday. Everyone in the country. So I was going to do England football at the end, but I'll do a quick minute on it. Quick minute now before everyone gets here. Everyone seems to be fairly optimistic about it, really, don't they? It was disappointing, of course, but we're prepared for disappointment in penalty shootouts. We're prepared for that now. So we played well, though, didn't we, overall? I thought we went all the way to the wire, didn't we? We scored, which was important. We played generally well. We didn't get hammered. We went through extra time. We didn't concede an extra time. That's good. And penalty shootout, it went down to the wire. So I think if you told me 10 years ago that, the England team would be going to the wire with the team that seemed to be the top team in the tournament, Euros, then I'd say, wow, that'd be good, wouldn't it? That'd be good. So on a different day, you get a bit more luck. I watched the game twice. I know a lot of people who don't usually follow football just tune in for the old England, don't they? So it means a lot, not just in football terms, doesn't it? That everyone gets together and cheers it along. It means something. And I could do a whole episode on football and meaning and things like that. But I was just going to say that people feel a bit more optimistic about this one. The World Cup's in a year's time. They did us proud. I think in the main the reception has been positive. Gracious in defeat. That's the way we have to look at it. Be gracious in defeat. A little bit of luck here, a little bit of luck there. Things go a different, slightly different way. We lose. No, but also we could win. So from what I understand, in the sporting arena where the ball is bouncing, there's a lot of luck involved. Even though they would have you believe it's mainly skill, there's a lot of luck involved. So we got slightly unlucky, didn't we? Slightly. There we go. Mental Health Monday. We're not talking about football anymore. We're going to do the Mental Health Monday episode, which is a good one today. So got this prepared. I don't need to do this anymore. I've already done that. I picked it up automatically because I'm going to do the introduction, which I'm going to do on Big Face. Hi, you're with Scott. This is Mental Health Monday. It's midnight. It's always midnight. But actually, it's 8 p.m. GMT. We're here talking about mental health on my stream, titled Ganji Kid. Some people call streamers by their names. This isn't part of the introduction, I shouldn't say this. Some people call people streamers by their names of their stream, don't they? But I'm Scott. I'm also True by Norn ASMR on the internet. I'm also battery exhausted. on the YouTube. I'm also now Mental Health Monday on the YouTube. I'm also Ganji Kid on the YouTube and the Twitch. So on Twitter, I've got a different handle as well. I'm not really good at the old marketing, am I? Not really good at the old branding. But look, Mental Health Monday, we've got our own YouTube channel. There it is. That was the introduction. And in today's episode, we've got some good stuff. We've got a Ganji Puka Warrior crew joining us, filtering in chat. And what am I looking for now? I'm looking at, so many windows. Oh, I've already done this. Move the chat. Keep the chat where I can see it. Move the big window where I want it. This is what we're doing today, is doom scrolling. Doom. What? Doom scrolling. The darkly soothing compulsion of doom scrolling. The science behind doom scrolling. Well, then not really a lot of it. Hi, are you doom scrolling? There are fact-finding web pages that we're going to look at today on Mental Health Monday. First thing I always say, though, is if you are feeling really, really depressed and down, and you've come to this, seen Mental Health Monday on the old Twitch, and you just thought, look, I'm actually at a crisis point, and this could really sort me out. What's this guy doing, jaffling on? We don't always talk, deep crisis point mechanics on Mental Health Monday. We don't always do that. So, I see chat's popping off now. Chat's popping off. Don't worry. I did a little brief précis of the football before we started. We feel generally optimistic. You get all the way to a final. It's good, isn't it? That's good. It's a shame you don't win, but you be gracious in defeat. Applaud the winners. Feel some sort of cheer in their victory as well, because they have a good time, don't they? They all have a good time. They all feel good that they won, all the Italians. So good for them. And yet, I was saying, if you're feeling at crisis point, why am I just jaffling on? This is the number to call if you're in the UK. I don't know what the number to call in the USA is. I should do more research, shouldn't I? But call some direct crisis support help there. The Samaritans, they're good at that. That's their thing. That's what they do. Try and make the window so you can see the top of I've got so many chuffing windows. There you go, Samaritans, look. They're good at that. 116 123 for free if you're at crisis point. If the penalty shootout last night, if the penalty shootout made you sad, you can call the Samaritans. Honestly though, if anything's getting you down, you can call them, just have a chat, it's fine. So we're Mental Health Monday, and do you know what? I'm going to address this in chat as well. It's a shame about the racism, but let's not go there. No, I will go there quickly. It was after the penalty shootout, some of the players that took the penalties that didn't score were black, and there was some racist abuse toward them on probably just Twitter, mainly Twitter. And I think someone daubed something on a mural on a wall, someone had done a nice painting of a footballer on a wall, because of social context. I'm not going to go too deep into it. And someone had daubed something racist on it. So yes, that did happen. But I think the media, hoovering up of the story and amplifying it out. Racism is obviously bad, and we can discuss it in a bigger context, in a bigger story, around this story in a different episode, not when we're doing doom scrolling. But it comes into doom scrolling. We will see in a minute, so I'll say a bit about it. I think it does exist. I think it does go on. I think there is a seedy undertone in the social media, maybe in the society, of that racism. But I've seen a huge change in my lifetime. Other people have seen huge changes in their lifetimes, and I feel that the majority, even the majority of football supporters, the main England supporters in the main, that core group has changed since the 80s. More angry, young, working class men, more racists, to a more multicultural societal representation in the crowd as well as the team. So I think that the overtone, the main story, is that we all supported the lads, we all got behind them, we felt proud of them stepping up to take the penalties, and we didn't really blame them for missing them. It's fine margins, it's pressure, it's a bit of luck. They've got a really good keeper. You come in cold off the bench, if you know your football, you know what I'm talking about there. But these things, I think in the main the support was there, and I think there was this like in the same way as that daubed graffiti. That daubed graffiti wasn't 100,000 people going up there and writing racist graffiti on a wall. It was like one idiot slurring it across, like, and because it's so visible and so obviously disgusting, it's like if you go and take a poo in a supermarket, like, they're gonna notice the poo and not all the lovely food, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? If you take a poo in the vegetable aisle, then people are going to be going, oh, there's a poo in the vegetable aisle. Oh, there's a poo in the vegetable aisle. But actually, it's full of vegetables. There's just one poo. And I think that's the way this racism is starting to filter down now. I think it's not the popular majority. I think it's a ugly, vocal minority. And the way the social media works helps to amplify it. The social media, like imagine all the people that watched England last night. Imagine how many of them would have taken to Twitter. Not all of them. Quite a lot of them don't even care about Twitter. Quite a lot of them, even if they do have Twitter, don't care enough about football to get on it and tweet about. Only people that really care, and the really hardcore trolley racist people. So they make their voices heard more in an arena that helps their voice to be heard more. But I don't think it's the whole of society. I don't think that racist response was there from the whole of society. So it's interesting. We'll come on and see. Talk today about DoomScrolling, how this works as well. Well, not all about how it works, but the race part. I think we should, and I think we could do a whole episode on the changing atmosphere in the football grounds, the changing identity of the football fans, and the way racism was hijacking football, or racism and certain social groups in groups were utilising their position as football fans to harbour and breed this. I mean, there's a lot of nationalism, the England team, the England flag. There's a lot of ways you can cloak racism in patriotism and confuse these ideas. So we could do a whole episode on that. I really totally think so. Sorry, I don't think I'd like to eat an apple that's been near human beings. Yeah, but you get what I'm saying. Like, if the world was full of apples and there's only one poo, maybe we shouldn't be. I get it. I wouldn't be buying my apples from the supermarket that left the poo in the aisle. No, I probably wouldn't. No, but yeah, like. Can you see all of? Yeah, you can see all of. I also love to team watch where we have nice things to do. It's painful to watch. Yeah, it's painful. That's sport, isn't it? You can't win without losing. You can't have winners without losers, and you can't compete without accepting the wins and defeats in equal grace. Is it the UK really that racist place? I thought it was just the US. No, the UK is differently racist to the US, I would say. Obviously, racism is the same racism, isn't it, in a way, but different because different social. I'll just show briefly. In America, you've got different communities that were sort of all there at the start and are built, haven't they? Like whether from different positions, and now you've got a lot of immigration. But in the UK, we've had through the process of empire building a similar but slightly different relationship with bringing people into the Commonwealth and into the country. I'll just say that but overall, yeah, we've got the same eventuality. End up is we've both got multicultural societies, and we've both got people within those societies who think that the true patriot nationalism, core of make Britain great again, make America great again, they actually mean like let's be racist, like, don't they really? And in both countries, you've got this multicultural society, and then these people who are scared of it and want to be racist. So yeah, it's not vegan to poo in the veggie aisle. Why is it considered losing? You made it all the way to the final. Yeah, exactly. Do you see what I mean? Yeah, you see, I kind of agree with that. But I also think that if you are a competitor, then whilst it's harsh and hard, but you should, you go in there to win. So you're not in there just to make up the numbers, to hand over the trophy and say, well done. You're there to win. And when you don't win, it is a loss. But there's a difference between losing and getting beat. Losing is playing to your absolute potential and just not being as good as your opponent. Fair enough. Go away, train, get better, accept it. Getting beat No, wait, have I got that right? No, I've got that wrong. Getting beat, that's getting beat. It's not, it's doing your absolute best, but being beaten by somebody that's just done better. Yeah, accept that. But losing is not putting your all in and then, losing, being beat, but you could have still done more. You beat yourself. You didn't put your whole 100% in. I actually think that we got beat yesterday. We didn't do, but it was luck and penalties. So, yeah, I think they did a really good job. Yeah. So that's racism and football. Covered that then. And I think it does play into what we're about to talk about, doom scrolling. So let's go into, and I'm not doing this in a calm, relaxing. I haven't had much sleep. Look, let's not talk about me. Let's talk about the web browser. Doom scrolling. According to psychotherapist and coach Tess Brigham, doom scrolling is mindlessly scrolling through negative news articles, social media posts, or other content sharing platforms. Essentially, it's reading one negative story after another. So that's just using the internet, isn't it? Isn't that just using the internet? Why have we got a word for doom scrolling? Just scrolling, reading one thing after another. Although it may seem as if 2020, they set this contextually against 2020. It's become quite popular recently. It was on Twitter in 2018 though, and it's been a cultural term ever since. Doom scrolling occurs when you realise you've landed on a story, you've no idea how you got there, you can't remember why you even got on your phone in the first place, but you're now reading hundreds of comments or retweets of someone you don't even follow. There's a mental health impact. Brigham says those who struggle with anxiety or anxiety-related disorders, these can include panic disorders. Where am I? I'm just moving my windows. Oh, I'm reading because my brain and I've had no sleep. They're especially prone to doom scroll because anxiety is about a lack of control, or about control and lack of it. She goes on to say the more anxious we feel, the more we try and control the situations and people around us. Being informed seems like a good way to control what's happening around us, but it actually just creates more anxiety and fear. Why do people doom scroll? If it's mentally affecting your health. First of all, actually, let's one thing at a time, one point at a time. The mental health impact. So, like, we all do this. I'm guessing we all get on the sensationalist stories get the clicks. We all get on the phone. I do it a lot actually, though, not just randomly scrolling, but I want to know what's going on with the COVID this week. I want to know what the numbers are. I want to know if there's any new variants. I want to know, be up to date on that news. And that is right on the border of being anxious about it, trying to be informed. A good way to feel in control is to be informed, isn't it? That feels right there on that border. One of my friends, she was having trouble with this exact, during the height of the pandemic, she was having trouble with the fact that the more information she was consuming, the more anxious she was feeling. So she decided not to look at it, as you just said there. Snips has pointed this out. Just don't look. She's decided not to look at it, and it improved her mental health. I've felt compelled to keep informed of the information the whole time. It can have a mental health impact on those who are, susceptible to this, I guess, can't it? It definitely can. And things that are having a mental health impact can lead you to do this as well. It's like a double-sided thing, isn't it? So, yeah, we've covered that. That's interesting. That's an interesting point. Why do people do it if it's going to affect, if it's going to make you feel bad? Why are you doing it? If I know what's happening, I can be better prepared for when things get bad. We're hardwired to survive and see the things that could potentially harm us. Yeah, but also, as Snips has said, sensationalist stories. Like, if you're on the internet, what the internet wants you to do is keep scrolling, isn't it? The internet wants you to keep doing this. It wants you to keep clicking the next story. If you're on Twitter, the Twitter's main thing is to get you tweeting and retweeting. Like, if you're on the Facebook doesn't suggest that you close Facebook and go and have a lie down. It suggests that you add another friend and view another thing and share the thing. It's designed for it. If you're on the news media, And we're going to be on the news media in a second, because this is from the BBC there. Look, they're the news media. They're not just the news media, they're the media, aren't they? So they're all sorts. If you're in the news media though, like, you want people to keep reading and clicking and hype and sensation and, but did they? Oh, did they? I know. What if? Or should I need? Should I need to? You know, you're playing on emotional triggers. That links back into what we were saying about the racism thing, doesn't it? The narrative that's put forward at the end of the England game, that creates more clicks, that gets more people talking, that has more strong opinions attached to it. The one that comes to the fore through Twitter is the racism one, it seems. And it's in our DNA. There's this other aspect to that as well, that it's in our DNA. Like, the reason these mechanisms work, the reason these Twitters work, these social medias, the reason that you feel instinctively hot and angry and need to write something, need to reply to that thing, it's because it's part of our natural human social, you know, the way we've developed, isn't it? But the new media, the new technology, I've got a phone, you've all got phones. The new media, that hyper speed acceleration, that's not in our DNA. So the way we react to these things isn't like, they put together a Twitter, you all say what you want, and they didn't really expect that everyone's going to turn into an absolute, like, Shizer fest. Did they? They didn't expect that. Like, they didn't know it was all going to turn into trolling and shouting and racism, and they didn't know that, did they? I don't know. I don't know if it's part of who we are as humans, part of how that technology is presented to us, how the way the algorithms work, the way that we work, but it all seems to be snowballing in a path that, you know, I'm amazed. This is a better analogy. I'm amazed that we can drive cars at 80 miles an hour because, you know, I'm designed, humanly evolved, to not go at 80 miles an hour. So the limit of my perception and my ability to control and do, and, you know, I'm right on that, aren't I? And you can see that you are, because people have crashes and, you know, do silly things and mess it up. So we're not designed for certain things, but we handle them. Same way with social media. We seem to just be handling it, but spilling over the edges sometimes, crashing sometimes, you know, doom-scrolling sometimes. It's all interesting. Potential pitfalls. Daily doom-scrolling isn't a wise idea if you're striving for good mental health. It's bad for your mental health because there's no real benefit to doom-scrolling Brigham notes. It only makes you more anxious and paranoid about the world around you. Brigham also says doom-scrolling robs you of living in the present moment, since it's a mindless activity. And I'm really pleased they highlighted that, because I would have highlighted that. The main thing that we're trying to do when you're feeling anxious, the main thing that we're trying to do to keep yourself from flowing off down those anxiety paths, is being in the moment, being in the now, doing the mindfulness. That's one of the key things that keeps coming up. So if you're going to be attached to something that draws you out of that, and I say that, I play a lot of games, don't I? Are they mindful? They maybe are. Maybe. I don't know. Some of them are. Some of them are designed to be. But certainly the doom scrolling is a mindless activity. So it's not mindful, it's mindless. It's the opposite. And I suppose that can lead to the sort of patterns of behaviour, to naturally being mindless about stuff, that can lead to mental health issues. So that's interesting as well, isn't it? I've lost my chat. I'm doing all this. Where's my chat window? Right, got my chat window back. We're going to go through this chat. I'm such an idiot. I've got these open in big. This is the problem. I've got them all open in big, and there's too many, and they overlap each other. And when you click one, you lose the other one. Right. Let me scroll up a little bit. I'm just going to press allow to that, because it just, the word bum acceptable there. Look. So I like to get my updates from the health officials I trust. I'm going to go through these chat ones one by one, because I think it's nice to. We've got some good points here as well. I personally agree, and there's some really good, valuable, even YouTubers who are on the money, But I also then, what I tend to do is I take what they've offered me and then I look it up and I try and look at the other side of the argument as well. Main thing I like to do is get the actual scientific study. And although I'm not that scientifically literate about every aspect of science, I mean, I can look up the things I don't know, and I try and find as deep down the rabbit hole. It's not a rabbit hole, is it? It's science, but as deep down the evidential, recorded evidential science as I can. Mainly, that's the main thing I like to do, and I won't believe how skinny clickbait headline. Yeah, those clickbait headlines. They've found a formula, haven't they? Even on what we do on YouTube and stuff. I have to try and play that game a little bit as well, don't I? Because if I don't, then I will never be seen. But they're really good at it, and it doesn't appeal to me. And like you say, it doesn't appeal to you. You avoid them like the plague, but it certainly appeals to some people, doesn't it? Certainly appeals to some people, otherwise it wouldn't work. Not making any comment about no people. No people. Right, let's try and shrink shrink that window. Oh, it made it really big on the screen, didn't it? That's all right. You can read it better. Now I've got my windows. We'll carry on. What we said is it makes you feel mindless, and that's bad, isn't it? So doom scrolling prevents you from paying attention to your thoughts and feelings, which is additionally detrimental to mental health. That's what they just said, what I just said. And also they say you may not be aware of how the negative information is affecting your psyche, but once you close your eyes and try to go to bed, your mind is spinning with terrible images. That's possible, possibly. They're not offering us any, as I just said, about wanting to go into the detail and the depth of the studies. They're not offering us any of those. This is conjecture from someone who is, a psychotherapist. So they may have done more reading than we know, and I'm willing to take their opinion, their conjecture, as educated conjecture. I'm willing to take it as a good jumping off point. How to make scrolling more positive. We'll leave that for a minute. Don't know about how to make them positive yet. Don't learn that yet. We still need to talk about this, the dark side, a little bit more, and then we'll get into the good bit at the end. And actually, what we're going to come to find is journalist Karen Ho. Journalist Karen Ho is the person who coined the phrase doom scrolling and really popularised it, and has written a really nice article to help you not doom scroll. So we're going to look at that at the end. So that's coming up. Don't worry. Stop doom scrolling. The science. There is some science there. No, we're not going to find out yet. We'll find out. This is the BBC and the darkly soothing compulsion of doom scrolling. Why does endlessly looking for bad news feel so strangely Do the word reading, can I? Can I do the word reading? This is a bit more human aspect. This is a bit more anecdotal. I found myself in bed at night scrolling the news sites and knowing this is not healthy for me. So why am I doing it? Says Emily Bernstein, who is an LA-based comedy writer. She's on Twitter a lot. It's a question many doom scrollers have been asking themselves. Beyond knowing intuitively that doom scrolling makes us feel awful, studies conducted during the pandemic have corroborated this, linking both anxiety and depression to the consumption of COVID-19 related media and increased time spent on smartphones. And they linked the actual studies. So this is good. Now we're starting to find the actual real studies. You can click that. No one's going to click it. I'm not clicking it. But trust me, they've studied it. They found that there's a link. The pleasure of doom scrolling. It's not really new human behaviour. This is the article, the paragraph I like. The precursor to going online was that people would watch the 11 o'clock news, which was terrifying, says Dean McKay, a Fordham University psychology professor who specialises in compulsive behaviour and anxiety disorders. That terror, then witnessed from the comfort of the viewer's home, however, had a potentially calming effect. McKay describes the attitude as people acknowledging things are pretty horrible, but I'm comfortable, so I'm going to be able to sleep well tonight, knowing that I can feel good about my station in life. Really? Maybe. I mean, he's the psychologist, isn't he? So he's done studies at university. You know, he's into this. So he's suggesting that watching the harsh news makes you feel comfortable. Like, it's not happening to you. And maybe, I guess, if we're talking, I mean, here's a good example. There's forest fires going on in America, in Canada. I'm seeing the news about your part of the world. You. Not everyone, but you. And it's hot. And I'm worried. Oh, hope that doesn't go bad. But in the UK, it's raining. So I should feel happy because I know my house is not going to burn down. I get that. I get that when you see, third world countries on the news, you think, oh, the poor third world countries, but we're all right. I get that. I get that. I can see what they're saying there. But I also feel that the news presents stuff that makes you feel anxious because, one, it sells news. Two, it sells marketing around the news, like advertising space. Three, recently I've seen actual adverts for emergency alarms and like window locks on the news. So I think it sells the advertising, the marketing, and all that. And what we discussed with dark doom scrolling, I think it encourages more clicks and views, doesn't it? Bob Geldof made a career out of poor Africa. Poor Africa. He was a singer before that. He did some singing and he tried to help him. Poor Bob. My phone notifies me every time a local fire pops up. It's too early to be this hot. I struggle with not wanting to know and needing to know for the safety of my pets and myself. You see, now there's the perspective from someone that's in the situation. Doom scrolling, yes or no? You want to know, you need to know. But it's going to make, if you're compulsively doing it, and I guess this is where we're going to find how to not do it later on. We're going to give you the ideas, but I'll sneak one in here. I guess this is where our mental health worry tree, our worry time comes into it. Maybe we can say, and I think we will later, secretly I know the answers, so maybe we'll allocate ourselves some scrolling time, but it needs to stop, doesn't it? It needs to stop. And it's important to be notified, but this is something we're going to come to as well. Notifications, they might go in the doom scrolling category because now we've got notifications for our phone and for our washing machine and for our dishwasher. These are the things that make noises that I have to attend to. Dishwasher, the cat. My dog notifies me when I need to go walk him. Like there's a notification bell and an alarm for everything, isn't there? And you've got a hospital pager, so I guess that one has to actually stay on. Yeah, could you imagine? Switching my pager off because doom scrolling's bad for my mental health, so I'll only attend to things when I want to. That's what I do with my mobile, my voicemails. Just only attend to them when never. But you can't do it with your pager. So these are things that we have to try and keep in check if we can. Like, I guess with the pager, it would be not constantly looking at it, just accepting if it beeps, you're going to be ready. But if it was me, I guess I'd be always, is that on? Have I got it? Have I checked it today? I'd always be doing that. Where's my pager? Like, when you walk out of the house and you haven't got your phone. Where's my phone? When I come back from the dog walk and I've left my phone in the woods, it's happened on a number of occasions. And I'm like, oh, where's my phone? Oh, and I have to go back. And I'm like, oh, those moments. So going back to the news, I'm not sure that the news is designed to make you feel comfortable and be able to sleep. I would query that. I'd say it actually plays into the doom scrolling. Doom scrolling really just describes compulsive need to try and get answers when we're afraid, suggests Pamela Rutledge. And there's this other problem, isn't there, that you're going to be made more afraid because you're going to be doing more doom scrolling. The more I find out about the COVID and how dangerous it certainly back in the day, and how dangerous it was, and the more that I interacted with people who were like, oh, I didn't know that, oh, I hadn't realised that, the more I felt afraid because the general public didn't seem to have the same level of understanding as I was doing. But I was doing the doom scrolling. So, yeah. It makes us afraid, makes us want more answers. Certainly does, doesn't it? It's all tied in with this clickbaiting as well. Is clickbaiting bad for your mental health? Unfortunately, journalism has some degree to play to that. Like, this is in the media, the journalist media, so they've been really careful not to be too negative to the media, but they've just said, like, oh, it has contributed slightly. Yeah. GAD, generalised anxiety disorder, is basically a Twitter feed of worries in your head. So doom scrolling is like a physical manifestation of generalised anxiety disorder, suggests Jane Wu. That's really interesting, though. It is really interesting. But the real world outside is not all trolls. Rutledge stresses that the awareness for our doom scrolling habits is the best way to quit them. For people on diets, for example, keeping food logs is one of the biggest predictors of success for losing weight because it makes people aware of their current habits. The same could go for doom scrolling. Keep track of how much time you spend doing it. Identify the negative tendency, Rutledge continues. Then you take steps to change it. It's nice, isn't it, the way I've put that in? I've put that. I have, though. I've selected these in order, these ideas to present. So it's nice that I put that in the middle because we're about to turn now to the treatment side of things. Phone notifications in the middle of the night. I usually pick it up and look just in case it's important. It usually isn't important, and then I'm awake. No, my phone doesn't wake me up in the middle of the night because it's got turn you off to silent mode. I have to try every trick in the book to try and get bedtime working. So, and this might be one of the tricks in the book. Preempting the tricks here, preempting the tricks. But the suggestion is, first of all, that you accept that you're doing it. You realise you're doing it. You can say to yourself, oh, hang on, I'm doing some doom scrolling. I've been sat here for 20 minutes. My legs are going numb. Must be doing doom scrolling. Now you've heard me say the word doom scrolling about 50 million times. Like when I watch a broadcast and they use the same word over and over and over again, I sit at my telly and I say, you say that word one more time. You say doom scrolling one more time, you. Now you've heard me say it. You won't be able to not, you're going to know, aren't you? You're going to know. You're going to think, oh, hang on, I'm doing that thing, that doom scrolling thing. Now you've heard me say it. So you're going to find, and then a future, hope scrolling, joy scrolling. I can't stop what? A day of scrolling through positive news can't necessarily erase or counteract the habits we've been forming for months of doom scrolling and their negative effects on our mental well-being. However, understanding that scrolling through good news brings us joy could help make us more aware of how our online behaviour affects our emotional state, which Rutledge says is the key to changing our behaviours. Linton, for one, has blocked people who she's realised are not bringing valuable information to her social feeds and has tried to curate her Instagram so it's full of accounts of more positive content, the kind she can feel good scrolling through. Again, this is something I find really, really difficult. Really difficult, right? I don't want to look for the things that make me feel content and correct. I think that aspect of society has been pumped down our throat to make us less aware of our neighbours, less concerned about their welfare. I think that was part of the 80s capitalism that I was brought up in, part of the 90s hedonism that I lived. It's not about, the ability to make your social media and your Instagram completely conform to everything that makes you feel good is like putting blinkers on to the rest of the world and the problems. But in a way, what makes me feel good is to look at those problems and try and do something about them. And so it's weird that my blinkers don't make me happy. They make me feel blinkered and mindless, like I'm eating at my muck trough. I don't like my muck happy meal making me happy. I want the world to make me happy through its reality of being a good place. I want to make it a good place if it's not, to make other people happy. So that's important. But I also do agree that, like my Instagram, for example, I don't have any, I've got an Instagram, don't ever use it. But if I did use it, it could be my happy place. I could still access the world and the news, and I could still use my Twitter as my slurry of... I take a really good example here. I'm going to do Big Face, because there's a really good example of this. Big Face. Cat video. right? Imagine a cat video, but it's not a cat video where it's all happy. Imagine the cat's having a bad time. That's the most I'm going to say on that. And already you're feeling bad, aren't you? A cat having a bad time. I don't want to see that. But when you're vegan and when you're a vegan, when I'm a vegan, you're not telling them you're vegan again, are you? Shut up, Johnny. I haven't seen you for a while. So you look at these things because you want to make the change. Some of them kick you into being more animal rights. Some of them are the abuses of the animals that have been recorded, in the same way as some of the abuses of people that were recorded changed the views on how we should treat people. I mean, even recently with George Floyd, imagine if that wasn't on video. Imagine if it was just people said this is what happened. Like, there's a really important power to the video, isn't there? And that happens for human social change and animal social change. And part of the doom scrolling is that I see these things, I don't want to see them, they're horrible to me, they make me feel really bad. This is something I really care about, so it makes me feel really bad. But then I think I need to share that, because if you could see that, you wouldn't eat the thing and you wouldn't buy the thing. This is powerful. But then I realise that people don't want to see this horror in their news feed. I can't be bringing, I'm not the bearer of horror, am I? So I tend not to share the most brutal images of animal torture, but I tend to follow the accounts that do, because I want to see it, I want to be aware of it, even if it's hard for me to swallow. It's part of my, dream to combat it. So I think we need to see it in order to stop it. So yes and no, it's such a difficult. That's just one example. There's lots more examples of this. Like, we talk about mental health, we have to face up to the difficulties, we have to talk about suicide, we have to talk about depression in order to try and do something about it. There are videos that I'm not ready for. Floyd, Syria, animal torture, I postpone. If like, these things come with warnings quite often, don't they, in the mainstream media, of course, because you know that you're not really going to George Floyd's a good example. I didn't go immediately to seek out that video, but at some point during the trial I had to watch it. I had to know. And it was horrible. We talked about Live Leak before with Nigel, that these things, they're realities, and they have been available to us through the internet. So it's a good idea to make some part of the internet I actually agree with this. It's a good idea to make some part of the internet your happy place, your happy chamber. Unfortunately, our Twitch broadcasts can't be it. I try and be positive all the time. I'm human, and sometimes I feel angry and cross and want to bring something up that's not doom scrolling, but certainly is not like birds chirping and rainbows. And I understand that some people don't want any of that in their newsfeed. They want pure birds chirping and rainbows. I understand that. And I think if it was one thing, sadly it's not. It can't be Twitter, because you can't avoid the slurry of horror on Twitter, can you? People's opinions. Everyone's got opinions, isn't it? What did they say? Opinions are like arseholes. Everyone is one. I say that. So yeah, this can be your happy place, but sometimes I'm going to spoil it by talking about a poo in a supermarket. So sorry about that. But but yeah, I think it is a really good tip. I might even take this on board, and maybe my Instagram that I've never used before, because I don't use it, because it's just like, to me it seems to be people hyper stylizing their super life that makes me feel bad, and then like I'm super into my products, and that makes me feel bad. I know there's some creatives on there, but I can't seem to just curate and link. But maybe I should do that. I should just curate and link pure creatives, pure people that make me happy. Every time someone posts something, it makes me feel good. That's my Instagram. That's my happy place. Maybe not Instagram, maybe somewhere else. Maybe it's this, And then the other place, my Twitter or whatever, it's just a slurry of hate, isn't it? No, it's not all bad, but like I say, you can't just. There's the cat videos, and then there are the bad things that happen to cat videos. As an example throughout society, and I see a balance. I even follow people who are not who I don't agree with, like personally or politically. I follow people who do things that I don't personally agree with, that I think are not particularly moral. I'm going to give no examples so that you can't go through my Twitter people and see which ones are what. But there are certainly people that I follow on Twitter that if you went down and looked at it and you said, oh, he follows her or he follows him, you'd think that's not, that doesn't tie in. But I want to know what they're thinking and saying. I want to know what they're posting and up to. You know what I mean? And when I'm researching for, certainly for films as well, like the strongman world's a great example. I've got a lot of following and followers, maybe a lot. I don't know. I've got a few people that follow me on Twitter and a few people that I follow that are from the strongman world. And like, it's got nothing to do with anything to do with what I'm day to day, has it? But I'm still there watching it and reading it and, occasionally tweeting something about it. So, yeah, it's just when I research for other things, I want to see what they're saying. That's how I use it. But if I used it this way, I follow Trump. Yeah, exactly. A lot of people, I reckon a lot of people followed Trump and they didn't want to see what he was saying and agreeing with it. I reckon that happened, didn't it? I reckon a lot of people that followed him probably didn't like what he said. And I think that's another interesting point about it. You can seem to gain enemies as well as friends. So people don't just curate it in what they want to hear. They curate it as to what they don't want to hear as well. Really interesting concept to think about how you create your social media for your mental health. Really interesting concept. I like that. And at the bottom, I think it's unrealistic to say one day COVID will be over and I'm never going to doomscroll again, says Bernstein. But I do think it will decrease. That's also a thing I've realised. I have to put in the work to do that. So the suggestion that, because the COVID is an overarching concept in a lot of these doomscrolling articles, because of course doomscrolling and COVID, I want it to be over. If you went through my plan, then it would have been over by now, certainly in our country. In the same way as in Australia, they've had a resurgence and a little lockdown. I believe if we'd locked down really hard, really early, proper quarantine, been serious about it. Could you imagine this? Imagine if COVID actually turned out to mutate, that Kent variety or that Delta variety had been the one that killed all the kids and escaped all the vaccines and killed us all. We'd be killed. We'd be dead. That would be it, because we didn't do it well enough. When it first came round, we let it go. Everyone got it. That's not good enough. In the films, everyone's dead. The next time round, that could be the case, couldn't it? It's just a bit of luck, isn't it? It's whatever. But that's not the way it's happening. One day it'll be over. No, it's not. They're going to let it keep going. We've got a vaccine. I'm not happy with it. It's not my plan. But I don't make the full plan, do I? I don't make every situation. Boris Johnson's driving the force, driving the decisions because of his financial backers. If you watch the documentary Tories at War, you actually get to see this big, obese, I'm not going to be rude, but he's obese, like big fat chuffer guy, with his glasses and his sweaty hair. It's about Brexit and it's about allegiances during Brexit. And he literally, Boris is sat there with him and he represents the financial markets. He's a big banker and he literally, says, essentially Boris will say what I want him to say on this issue. And he laughs about it. It's in there. It's in the documentary. It's not the main point of the whole documentary, but it's in there. And it made me realise that, when Boris Johnson is in power, he's not here to make sure that you or I are safe. He's not here for your or mine interests. He's in there for somebody else's interests, for these big banker people's interests mainly, and then his own interests financially. And being the leader of the Conservative Party for maybe 5 years, it's not a long-term thing, is it? It's a short-term hop to the next. The long-term thing for them is their own financial security. So they haven't got our best interests at heart. That's how it is. So what I'm saying is, coming back to Mental Health Monday, I have to sort of... it's unrealistic to say that Boris Johnson's going to wake up tomorrow and be a good guy. It's unrealistic to say that Nadeem Zahawi is going to, have charitable heart. He's going to be a good person. It's unrealistic. So I'm not going to... I'm not going to try and scroll to fix that. I don't know. I have to decrease. I have to step away from those ideas not bang my head against the brick wall. You know, big banker or big, yeah. And that's what we're going to do. Look, stop. I should have said stop doom scrolling there. It does at the top, doesn't it? Where is it? Oh, you can't see the top. Let me move this because you want to see the top. This is going to be cool. You're going to like this. Wait to see how this ties in. Come on, technique, Scotty technique. I'm moving it, but it's not. There you go. What does that say? Stop doom scrolling and grab a controller instead. It's only little. This is Wired. It's like a magazine on the internet. Wired. Stay a little big. There you go. Stop doom scrolling. Grab a controller instead. Grab a controller instead. Before you think this is about trading one unhealthy habit for another, it's not like that. And here's why. Mind blown. You could do a COVID theme game. There is pandemic based, media already, isn't there? The film about pandemics, and there is a game about diseases, because they're a concept that we've lived with. Just briefly, I'll reiterate that we should be putting an infectious diseases centre in every major populace, in the same way as you have a hospital that deals with your accident and emergencies. Oh, I've broken my chuffing arm. I know where I'm going to go with that. I've got a respiratory infection. I know where I'm going to go with that. Shouldn't be the same place. Should not be the same place. Because as we've seen, the respiratory infection bit infects everyone else, and then they can't do their jobs. They can't deal with all the people. Have it in a different building. Have it in a different building. Put your respiratory contagious diseases, flu, even the common cold research. Now we know about this. But we've had other ones, haven't we? SARS, MERS, avian flu, bird flu, mad cow disease. Put all them. I don't know if mad cow disease was respiratory. But have a separate centre, like the COVID centre they'd call it now. I wouldn't know, the COVID clinic. But have it set up to deal with these things. Build them now. And when they're not busy, when there's not a huge amount of flu, they could be there for the vaccines as well, couldn't they? When they're not busy, they're there for social health. They're there for ongoing long COVID or other respiratory, issues. Surely it's a good idea to have a dedicated centre for the study of and combating of respiratory diseases that when it's quiet is there, still there, so it's ready to go into action. A bit like a fire service. For something like COVID, because it's going to happen again. Not COVID, but another disease. We've had loads of them. Diseases happen. That's fine. I've been vaccinated against COVID and measles, mumps, rubella, and whooping cough. So that's cool. We deal with them. That's what humanity does. We've got a long history of doing it. But I just think we need to... it requires money nobody wants to spend. Do they really not... we have a fire service because... And this is... I'm having a rant. I'm going to get onto the game bit, the nice positive bit at the end after my little rant. You love it. You love my rants. But I just want to quickly say that we have a fire service in capitalist society. Even like we used to have a capitalist service, right? Which was if you paid the firemen, they would stop your house from burning down. But if you didn't pay the firemen, they wouldn't come round. And the way you knew that the firemen knew that is they used to put a big plaque of metal. This is back in the old days in the UK. They used to have a big plaque of metal, and it was metal so that it wouldn't burn down with the fire. And they put that outside the house. Big markings, fire insured against fire. And when the fires would go, the firemen would come out, and if they see a big metal on your house, they'd put it out. And if not, they'd be like, chuff you haven't spent your money, you don't get your fire service. That's capitalism. But we thought that those sort of systems didn't really work out. Not for the good of society, not for everyone. It turned out that when London burned down in 1666, when London burned down, it wasn't good that only certain buildings got put out. The whole place went up. It spread. So in the end, we decided, look, you're going to have a community fire service, and it's going to have to be paid for out of the public purse, isn't it? And that's what happens with things like streetlights, with hospitals. Maybe not in America with hospitals, but in the UK certainly, with all sorts of things, with roads, with the military spending and defence. That technically is spent on your behalf for everyone. We all benefit from the military in the same way. You can't choose whether you get it or not. You can't walk down the road and turn the street lights off for you because you didn't spend the money, and me, I get the light. You can't do that. You just have to have things that we share. You just have to, because we're a society. You can't avoid sharing them. You can't toll road every road. And why would you want to? So with that in mind, my idea for a public, a public building that is for the benefit of the public in our health, like a hospital, it does knock on to the political idea that it has to be publicly funded. Maybe the capitalists and the right wingers have got the wrong idea. Maybe their ideas don't run a society properly, and maybe they have to use socialist ideas in their current form of capitalism because otherwise it wouldn't work. So maybe we need to lean more on those. Let's not get into too much politics, but basically I want them to build a chuffing building to deal with this stuff so that next time it crops up, it gets chuffing dealt with. I don't want to have to doom scroll. I want to know that the chuffers up the road have sorted it. That's what I, hope for from my leaders. Stop group, but instead, right? I'm asked to care for infectious patients with non-infectious patients. Exactly. How can you do that? How can you... People that work in hospitals that have to... I remember during the COVID, my nan went to the hospital, and before she could go on the clean ward, meaning the non-COVID ward, she had to go on a holding ward for people who may or may not have COVID, considered dirty ward, not dirty and they haven't cleaned it, but not, could be infectious. And I just thought, well, that's chuffing stupid, isn't it? Because what if she hasn't got it? She's going to get it. And lo and behold, who knows? Anyway, I wasn't pleased with the way everything was left. It's a shame for the health service that everything was just put upon them like, oh, well, you deal with it. You've been dealing with being underfunded and overworked for years. You should be able to deal with this. That's my little rant about that. But more importantly, let's talk about the big web browser. Grab a game controller. This is actually, look at the date on the article at the top there. 7th of the 12th. What? 7th of the 12th? 12th of the 7th? Because it's American. Because it's American, isn't it? It's the wrong way around. Don't get me started. 9/11. 9th of November. In the UK, we put the small, the bigger, the biggest, like that. So you have your day, your month, the year. It gets confusing otherwise. So this was done today, though. They released this article today on Wired, which is a magazine on the internet. I'm not promoting it, but they've released it today. Today they're talking about it, the DoomScrolling, and they've given us this thing, talk about gaming. They do I'm not going to read all of their thing because of not only copyright, but it's basically one writer's opinion with a couple of links to some the sort of links we've been bringing up already. So it's an interesting article. I'll definitely link it in. Copy, paste. I should run the NHS. Yeah, I definitely should. Do you know what? I should run more than that. Because you know what? I'm even going to blow my own trumpet a little bit. I wouldn't be doing it for my own. I wouldn't give two shits. I've sworn, but I really wouldn't give two shits about lining my own pockets with, seedy backhanders and making my friends have the best. My local MP, who's the vaccines minister, went to every England game. He went to the final. How did he get tickets to the final? They're really expensive. How come he's busy at the final of the football when he's supposed to be really busy with the vaccines and all that? I don't know, man. I wouldn't be, putting that on my Twitter, trying to promote how down with the populace I am because I've got a box at Wembley. I wouldn't be doing that. It would just be hard graft. We'd use a lot of this. We'd use a lot of stream. We'd use a lot of talking to people. We'd use a lot of polling. We'd use a lot of internet. We'd use a lot of instant, do you want this? What do you feel about this? Instant referenda. We'd use a lot more fluid, modern. It'd just be so much better, wouldn't it? Hey ho. Let's get on with what we're talking about, the gaming. This is the bit that we can do. Right. Let's get up to this, where I wanted to start with this, which was the science bit. The science behind doom scrolling. For something that generally makes us feel like garbage, it doesn't seem to make sense that we do it so often. It seems a bit like what was written in that other article, doesn't it? But it turns out there are some scientific and biological reasons why humans are so prone to it. A term popularised by Karen Ho, and this is fair, Karen Ho seems to have popularised it at Insider magazine. Popularised it doesn't mean coined it. It means written about it. And they've talked about the hypervigilance and product of PTSD, the science behind it. But another habit is behavioural addiction. The reason you feel compelled to grab your phone every couple of minutes is you feel physically used to the routine of picking something up, having it in your hands. So there is a little bit of science behind it. But there's not a lot offered there. And as we've seen, there's not a lot offered in general about doom scrolling scientifically. Because I think that doom scrolling is a really modern term and people haven't really done a lot of study on it. But they have done studies on things like it and around it. So that's fair enough. And similarly, our parents were wrong. Gaming is awesome for mental health. People have been debating for decades, there's a link there, whether gaming is good or bad for your psyche. And the idea that violent video games were the case of youth rebellion was debunked. You know, we know that, we dig that. But it turns out there's an overwhelming amount, and I have linked this because these are good links, click these ones. It turns out there's an overwhelming evidence that video games have a significantly positive effect on your mental health. They're a good source of peace and relaxation. And I think this is really important to note that it's context, isn't it? As we know, video games are not all just brutal shooting. They're not all on your mobile. They're not all on your Nintendo Switch. They're all different things. There's a whole spectrum of it. Isn't there? So some are really good. And we do look at them on this stream. I was ready to commit to this change, so I fully stocked my Switch with games, charged up my 3DS. I don't know why you bothered to charge it with 3DS if you fully stocked your Switch. And decided that instead of reaching for my phone and my initial waking moments, I'd reach for my games. They describe the games they play and their love of them. And they pick the ones, like we all do, that mean the most to most people. Like if you talk about Ocarina of Time, you're probably going to hit more ticks with more people, aren't you? I talk about it because I actually grew up with it. But, you know, they probably know on Wired Magazine which games you mentioned to touch the most bases. Look, there's Pokemon as well. Pokemon's in there. I'm such a cynic, aren't I? I just don't know if I believe in this writing about their feelings about games or whether they've gone for the added keywords. Oh, we'll trust them. Maybe they do love the games as well. That's why they're writing about them. But the point being is that games can be good for your mental health, and they suggest that you reach for a game instead of doom scrolling. Or come here, eh? How to make scrolling more positive. See how they link in? See how they link in? It's almost like I was a pro, isn't it? It's almost like I was a pro. Well, we've got some lovely snippy bits. There we go. Some lovely snippy bits. Sounds like porcupines, yeah. See, and a new member of the chat. I just shouldn't draw too much attention to you. You can just quietly chat like you've been chatting the whole time. But look, hello, nice to see you. Mean. I don't know if it's mean tone or mean T0. I'm not good at reading things. I'm going to call you mean tone. Mean tone. I like it. Mean tone, like blue tones or Deftones. Mean tones. Hypervigilance is relatable as well. God, yeah. Thank you for your snippy bits. Thank you for your chippy bits, your hearty bits. We do love Ocarina of Time in reality. Yeah, porcupines is a UK thing. Oh, is it? Is it a UK thing? I didn't know, actually. It definitely is. I didn't know it was not universal. Porcupines, yeah. Lies. Telling fibs, you're telling porkies. You're telling porkies, you say to somebody if you think they're telling fibs. It doesn't mean that you're a liar. If I said to you, like if I said how many sweets are there, and you said, oh, there's only 4 left, and you were secretly you had 6, and you just didn't want to tell me, you're telling porcupines. I wouldn't say, oh, you're a stinking liar, you horrible liar. You know, I wouldn't that wouldn't come. It would be a nice way of saying it, wouldn't it? You wouldn't call, if you really wanted to say you're a liar, you wouldn't like, oh, Boris Johnson's been telling porkies, makes it sound like it's innocent. It's like white lies. It's not terrible bad lies, but Boris Johnson's a terrible bad, evil liar who's deliberately misleading people and causing deaths for his own financial gain. That's a slightly different kind of lie, isn't it? It's okay in the UK. We're going to accept about 100, 200 deaths a day. We accepted it before at the peak of the pandemic. So it seems I've heard from people that go and drink in the pubs. I've spoken to them and they've told me COVID is over for them. They don't care about it. They've had the vaccines, so they don't care. That's it. 200 people a day, that's going to be okay. Run the lottery. It might be you. More chance of being killed by COVID than winning the lottery anyhow, haven't we? So good luck with that, everyone. I'm making jokes out of it, but yeah, let's try and make scrolling more positive. Keep scrolling positive. As tempting as it is to consistently consume negative news, there's always ways to turn it into more positive. One is to make it visit sites you trust that are fair. Snips, you suggested this earlier, didn't you? Or is it Nigel? I can't remember now. But yes, only go to the people you trust. Personally, I like to go to the people I don't trust as well. I like to see what everyone's saying. I like to get the reports that contradict the things I'm saying and see if there's any validity to it. I like to dig into the science. The person I trust most is myself. So when I hear Jordan Peterson say something, I don't think, oh, he's educated, it must be true. I think, where's he coming from? And I find out that he's studied conflict between young male groups. And I find out that he's learned in exploiting young males and the techniques used to exploit young males by older figures in society. I've learned that he's learned that. And then I read that he's promoting ideas to young men. And I wonder, as a relatively young man myself, whether those ideas might be valuable to me. So I look into the ideas. I look into the research that contradicts those ideas. And I find that there's a really valid research that contradicts them. You know, I find out the basis to his thoughts, and I think they're bad thoughts. Really, what he's trying to get me to do is buy his book. He's trying to get himself to be popular so he can be on a podcast. He's trying to become a voice that people listen to so he can sell another book and get another gig. And it kind of works for him. But it doesn't work for me, so I don't, once I've looked into it all, my opinions form. We can do this another time. I can show you directly where scientific, the evidence that establishes sociology and psychology contradicts some of the things that he puts forward. The ideas he puts forward help him in those other ideas, That's the way I go down it. So I don't just the people I trust, but the people that report on events in a fair manner. That's a good point as well. Event reporting in a fair manner. That's what I really look for. And I do, in all fairness, I do end up going to certain news outlets more than others because I believe them to be more fair. That's true. I pick the brains of infectious disease doc at work. If you work with an infectious disease doctor, you've got a huge advantage. Sounds a lot like burying head in the sand, but I understand that for some people news is upsetting. And yeah, we talked a little bit earlier about this echo chamber, about how maybe even it's not your own decision to curate an echo chamber on the internet, but it kind of happens that you end up with more people that you follow that say the things that you want to hear, and it creates this echo chamber. And maybe just putting your blinkers on to the bad things in life is not a good idea. But we also sort of said, have one page that's good for your echo chamber that makes you feel happy, maybe. Have another site that's not where your blinkers are completely off. But don't spend your whole day scrolling down either of them. Maybe a balance is important. Some news sites are just sensational and they want to shock or scare you, so avoid them. Focus on places where you know you'll get honest, accurate information. Limit your intake. Limit your intake. I'm going to highlight that one because that's a big one. You can stay informed by watching one show or even reading a summary of the news each day, but limiting your intake, you could say to yourself, let's have news hour. Let's have scrolling hour, Oh look, you've got one Twitter with just art and one with policy. Now that's clever, isn't it, having two Twitters? I never thought I could do that. I probably wouldn't be able to log into them both after logging out of the other one and remember the multiple passwords. I probably have to. I don't write passwords down. I'm too paranoid to write passwords down. But equally, no one's coming around my house to break in and read my password, are they? So it means I just can't remember them. But yeah, have different accounts for different things, and or you can stay logged into both. There you go. I'm learning from chat. I love that our Ganji Puka Warrior crew, our Ganji Kid chat, actually is learned and well versed in things. I love that that I can confidently say when I talk about a subject, someone's going to fill me in on something interesting and new to me, and I don't have to be like, I didn't know that. It's good. You can stay. You see, my Ganji Puka Warrior chat is a place where you can trust the accurate information is coming. Uh, you can read a summary. You can give yourself time. You can give yourself news time. Set a time limit. I think that's good, isn't it? Even if you've got a swirling vertex of doom scrolling, it says it's time to do mental health check-in. So that's good as well. Use your mental health time to stop the doom scrolling. Say, oh, what time is it now? Maybe an alarm. No. Does it suggest the alarm's here? No, it doesn't. Okay, I'm putting this top tip in. I'm doing big face. Let's go big face. I'm doing a top tip here. Turn off the alarms. Turn off the notifications. I was reading all about doom scrolling all day, and I can't remember which website it's on, but it did suggest it. Trust me. Turn off the alarms. I don't have WhatsApp alerting me to messages. I've got pictures of my dogs. They make me happy. I don't have. Have I got text messages on? Not at the moment because we're on stream live. I don't have. There's not many things that can buzz out of that phone and get me going. I'd say the one thing that does do it is bedtime. The bedtime alarm says, "Oh, it's time to get ready for bed in the next 40 minutes. Start winding down." That one goes off. Nothing else can interrupt me and barge into my life. Even phone calls, I quite often leave this on silent. And when I hear a phone call, I don't want, like Snip said earlier, when there's a notification in the night, they think, oh, it's important, so I might have to check that. I actually believe if it was important and I didn't answer the phone, if it was really important, they're going to call back immediately, aren't they? They probably call 3 times. If my sister had something that was like, if her house was burning down, you know, if my house was burning down and they needed to wake me up, whatever, like, if someone's trying to call me for like vital information at the time and I don't answer, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? They're going to send a text, ring me up. They might even come around the house. You know, if it's really important, if it's that level important where you need to get out of bed in the night, they're going to do that. If it's not that important, they're not, and you don't. Fair assessment? It's kind of a fair assessment, isn't it? The only things that could be that important that I need to get out of bed in the night to answer the phone are things that someone is going to feel that strongly. They're going to call me twice, maybe 3 times. So even if it's on silent, it's vibrating and it's still going, I can think to myself, well, actually, that one might be a... You know, my first instinct of phone goes, grab it. No. Phone goes, it's not important. If it's only a 1 ringer, it's not an important. That's the way I look at that. And if someone calls back immediately, okay, maybe they really need me. I got used to trying to, you know, think of it like that. Yeah, issues with people who think you should be available constantly via text. Do you know what? That's a really good one. If someone's pressuring you to involve themselves on their terms, in my opinion, I'm not telling you about the people in your life. I'm not saying, you know, everyone, you know, it might be that, for example, my parents need to know where I am. So it's fair for me, respectfully, to deal with their anxieties head on and say, oh, they sent me a text, I should deal with that one. You know, maybe that. But it's also fair for them to understand that maybe every text doesn't get read immediately. So give it 40 minutes. I personally, and this is me personally, I feel no, I think I don't. If someone was going to ring me up and expect me to answer, it's the equivalent now, because we're on stream, we're talking. Imagine someone come to that door now and just started banging. Talk to me now. Talk to me now. Talk to me now. Talk to me now. I'm not going to go and answer the door and say, hi, you're through to Scott, how can I help? Am I? I'm not going to be like pleased with that. I'm going to say, hang on, mate, at the door. Don't even know who you are. Haven't even looked at the phone. Don't even know who you are. So don't get on your high horse about what I'm doing and not doing. I don't even know who you are. So I'm not rushing to your emergency, bang on the door, talk to me now, talk to me now. I'm busy on stream with friends. In a minute, when I've finished, when I've got a minute, when I'm having a break, when I'm walking the dog, I can talk to you now. I can talk to you within the 20 minutes or 30 minutes or so, within an hour. Is that okay? If it's not, it's you that's rude. It's not me, is it? I used to run a hairdressing shop. I used to have clients coming in. I would sometimes be doing someone else's hair. I couldn't leave my client and just go say, okay, I'll talk to you now. Sorry, I'm with a client. Just be a moment. Okay? Sometimes it's fair on the phone maybe to say, okay, look, this is somebody who gets angry. So I guess I'm going to have to just quickly, hi, look, I can't talk to you now. I'm just doing this thing. Bye. And be confident enough just to say that. Bye. Not, I'm going to hear your side of it and why you think it's important and not important. I think it's important. I can't do it now. I'm not being rude. I'm being polite by announcing it to you, by telling you why I'm not going to talk to you and giving you the time. It's going to take me 20 minutes. It's going to take me an hour. Giving you the time so you know what to do. Go away. I actually believe that's polite. Someone banging on your door, someone ringing you up, and not. If it was an emergency, yes. If it's not, I don't need that stress. I don't need your version of what you think is appropriate to run into my life and stress me out. So, yes, it's become normal for younger people. Yes, I was younger when mobile phones came out. I remember not having one and then having one and it being a big thing. I remember having a girlfriend and being desperate to know what was on her phone. Is she tweeting other boys, texting other boys? Feeling like what the, like feeling anxiety about it. And I remember having girlfriends who wanted to go through my phones. We've learned now, that if I'm with someone that I feel that anxiety, maybe I don't trust them enough. Maybe it's not the phone that's the issue. Maybe it's our relationship. And I've learned that if I'm with someone who I feel comfortable with, I never need to look at their phone. So that was a warning sign rather than, I've learned things. I'm a bit older, a bit wiser. But I understand even, like younger people think it's this demand on them. But it really is not, and you are in control of your life. Mental Health Monday, we're talking about dealing with anxieties, feeling in control, and this is one big thing that we can take control over. It's our phone, it's our life, it's our choice, and if we want to be a bit more laid back on the way we use it, people will get used to it. They probably won't call us often. But, there you go. Devil's advocate. What is a good friend having a panic attack in the middle of the night? I want to be there for them. Or if it's a good friend having then you're going to persist with your attempt to contact them, and they are eventually going to have to deal with you. And is it rude? No, context. Okay, yeah, here we go then. Context gives everything context, doesn't it? Like, if it was not rude to do it, it wouldn't be rude to do it, and if it was, it was. Until you find out, you don't know. Okay, so you're not to be at fault for saying I didn't know how important it was to you. Yeah. But with context, we should discuss that. And I guess, maybe next time I'll answer to you. Do you know what I mean? Maybe I'll learn which people are the people that would call me with an emergency and are worth answering to. So maybe it's okay to, experiment with that. But in general, I'm saying I don't feel that this device is my God that comes out randomly and demands my attention. And that the person at the other end of it has some special right to my attention because they use this. That's not how I feel. That's not how I feel. I feel like this is just a choice, like an optional, an additional, a wonderful bonus and a great tool. But when I'm chilling, I put my tools away. It's the person acting shady. Don't wake me up unless it's life or death. Yeah, see, we're getting there. And this is back to WebBubba browser. The tips to prevent doom scrolling. So we'll go and we'll list these tips. I'm actually getting really hot now in my room. I need to open the window. My little room. Now the neighbours can hear the tips. I'm actually wearing a jumper. I know I'm wearing a jumper. Yes, I'm wearing a jumper. Yes, it's not. Yes, I know. It'll keep you warm, won't it? And if you're hot, why are you wearing a jumper? It's with the look. It's with the look of the thing. It's this green background, and I'm wearing a green jumper. It's fine. Just leave me alone with my jumper. The big headphone. My ears sweat. You should see how sweaty my ears are. What's considered hot in the UK? Don't you start. Where you are, it's hot, isn't it? In America, it's so hot that you can't go outside. Where I am, it's like 21 degrees probably. And I'm like, sweltering. It's raining. It's not just warm. Okay, it's just warm. Okay, fair enough. It's just warm. Don't you start with your tropical temperatures, you. Let's do the tips on doom scrolling. Teasing me about how cold it is. Right. Because I want to do the tips and then I want to do the final article, which is, hi, are you doom scrolling? But it's really fair to do that because it's written by the person that coined that popularised the phrase. So, tips. 1. And we're going to try and edit these. So I'm going to try and... 1. I kind of... Perfect. For the edit, I stopped being able to read. 1. Attend to something else. That didn't work either, did it? 1. Attend to something else. That's good, but a bit strong, aren't I? A bit forceful. And this is for people in mental health and, to prevent doom scrolling. Hopefully these tips will come up on the scroll. I've knocked the microphone. If they're scrolling, and I've put this on Twitch, really quick bullet points, edited really quick, hopefully they'll see it there, won't they? So try to be nice to them. Hi. Tips to prevent doom scrolling. 1. Attend to something else. Now I sound like I'm bloody doing the aeroplane. The exits are here and here and here. Tip number 1. Attend to something else. That's one of my voices. One cross over to the other side. There's always a cat to attend to. Now we've got chat popping in with tips. Right. I also do this other voice. The priest. You can do the priest, can't you? There's 2 kinds of priest. There's the American preacher who would say, tip 1, attend to something else. It's a bit like a ring announcer. Ladies and gentlemen, attend to something else. But there's also the British priest who does more of da 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 da. And in the house of the Lord, my way is the light. Attend to something else. They go up here, and then they do this. Bring you down again into the love of the Lord. And there's always a small pause. Very soft and very nice, the British priests, aren't they? So anyway, look, I shouldn't say any more about priests in Britain before we get on to bad things, should I? Anyway, look, attend to something else. Tip 1, attend to something else. The moment you realise what you're doing, stop. That can't be for everything in life. The moment you realise what you're doing, stop. You never get anything done. I'm on the computer. Whoa, stop that. I'm about to pick up my tea. Don't you drink that. But attend to something else. The moment you realise what you're doing, stop. When they say that, they mean doom scrolling. The moment you realise you're doom scrolling, stop. Be aware of it. Redirecting your attention to something else on the web, or even just putting down your phone. Logging off the computer. Logging off. See, I've done the voices now. Now this is for the edit. Now this one's for the Twitch. Suddenly I've got a new voice. Log off the computer. That's not me. Whose voice is that? Logging off. They'll think I've got an accent and I don't, and then they'll come to if someone sees the tweet, they'll be like, oh, I'll check out that stream, and then I'll be like, oh, it doesn't even speak like that. What's going on? Number 2, set a time limit. While it's fine to stay informed, keep yourself from entering the doom scrolling territory by limiting yourself to only 20 minutes of scrolling. Only 20 minutes. I would personally, maybe this is, you do scrolling on your break, or you do scrolling on your 5 minutes here and 5 minutes there. So maybe you're limited because you've got to go back to the thing. You've got to get back. But maybe you're not. Maybe it's after work. Maybe you're sat in the garden like I do with the dog. And you're scrolling. And maybe it goes on until the sun goes down. You didn't realise and it's past 10 o'clock. They're the ones that you need to set the limits to. So setting a time limit, 20 minutes scroll time. I'm going to give myself an hour's worry time. I'm going to give myself 20 minutes to work out this thing about COVID. And if I can't find out the information, I'm off the internet. Set yourself a time limit. That's a good one. I've gone on way too long with that one. That's never going to edit down to I should have set a time limit for that. Seek out positivity. Instead of doom scrolling, watch something funny. We don't have to tell people on the internet how to do that. Look at family photos. Family photos? Are you mad? Look at cat videos. We've already talked about it 5 times. The internet doesn't care about your family photos. Facebook's not worried about your family photos. They're worried about your cats. Or read a good story about something good in the world. Yeah, there's a good. Read a good story about something good. They didn't write the word good. I put good. You can read an average story or even a pretty poor story. As long as it's about something good and it's in the world. There I would argue that you can even go outside the world if you want. You can go beyond that. So I like reading stories about scientific fiction. Scientific fiction. That's not going to edit down either. Practice gratitude. Pinpoint things to be grateful for instead of things you need to be fearful of. Now that's a good one. We haven't brought that up. But instead of like, oh, what am I worried about today? What am I feeling good about? Interesting concept, isn't it? That comes back to the whole thing about England's football team and how we did how we did yesterday. I'm feeling grateful that we got to the final. I'm feeling grateful that we had all of that football to enjoy, and that for once an England team has gone all the way and didn't get beaten in open play and didn't get knocked out through some stupid, we went all the way. Set an egg timer. Think about the theory of relativity for 5 minutes. But the problem with that is the egg timer going to relatively, is it measuring the same 5 minutes every time? Or if I chuff it off down the hall like that, have I got more time to think about it? How long does it take for me to run and get it back? What if I put the egg timer in my mum's car and my mum drives it off to Birmingham? And she drives really fast. What if I give it to Superman? He goes round and round the earth like that. Am I still... What if I go round and round the earth? What if Richard Branson takes my egg timer up into space? Was that worth it? Or was it a firing off of billions of pounds that could have fed kids? I don't know. Was this page helpful? I can tick yes or no. Yes or no. I don't know. I'm not going to tick either, because this is very well minds that we're looking at. And I don't know if it's got any... I don't know if there's any knock-on effects from ticking those boxes. So I'm not going to. I'm a bit worried about them. Honestly, I don't. Why would I want to tick what's going to happen? That button, what's going to happen? I'm not going to... No, don't. No, not for me. And finally, hi. Are you doomscrolling? Isn't Branson offering a free ride to someone next time? Well, that's nice for someone. That's nice for someone. But personally, if I had all that money, I know it's nice to go up near space, isn't it? Up into space. I know it's nice to do that for 20 minutes. But if you add up all the money, and I know it's nice that we're going to use those space things in the future to maybe go to Mars, maybe when I'm dead and gone. Maybe. I know that's nice. But right now, there are some people who haven't got enough food. So that's not good enough. Just in general terms. So if it was me, not Richard Branson, not dissing him too much, it's up to him and his money, isn't it? It's up to him what he does with his money. His money. The money that we all sort of share around the economy. But yeah, healthcare, housing. I'd probably, when I'm up there looking down on the earth, I'd probably be looking down going, oh look, you're hungry. You haven't got a house. It's nice in space. Just for me in my own personal. Maybe not for you. And I'm not teaching you how to behave here. I'm not, dissing your opinions. But maybe for some people, there are other priorities than firing money off up into space. Firing the money off, burning it in a huge rocket. Going to sort out the electric car system, Elon Musk. Oh, you love me talking about Elon Musk. Electric cars, they're good for the environment. What's the environmental impact of a giant rocket fired off into space? Does they balance out? Balance out? It's about okay. He's a good guy. As long as he's getting rich. As long as Elon's getting rich, I think we're okay. Hi, are you doomscrolling? Hi. Hi, are you doomscrolling? This is written by Karen K. Ho. Karen K. Ho writes about business culture and the media. She's an economics reporter in New York. This is Forge. Did we do the World Economic Forum, Wired, BBC, very well mind. We didn't do the World Economic Forum, did we? I'm such a divvy. Right, let's turn off the browser for a second so I can bring this up, because I needed quickly to show you something else. Google World... Come on, keyboard, we're on the internet. Pressing all the buttons now. Now it's working. World economic World Economic something. Doom scrolling. That's broadcasting. We Forum, Mental Wealth, World Economic Forum. Yeah, okay. Web browser, you can have this back. Just didn't want anything dodgy to come up. And this is what is doom scrolling 3 days ago. We've covered it all now, haven't we? But I wanted to actually use this one. This was the original one that I looked at that caught my attention, that took me through it. I'll just key things before we finish. that I wanted to say that we haven't said. It's particularly prevalent among people with mental health conditions. I think we said that, didn't we? But that's a big point there. And that's why we're talking about it on Mental Health Monday. It's particularly prevalent. There's all sorts. I'm going to link this in. Copy. I'm going to put this in the chat because this is some homework if you want to do it. This is actually a really good article. There are lots of science, lots of studies. They say it hasn't been linked to mental health problems, that it hasn't been linked to mental health problems, but there are these other studies that say, you know, general aspects about it have. So the COVID-19 related media and anxiety has been found a causal link. They have found a causal link between that scientifically. And there's some graphs, look, about how often you use your phone. It might be interesting to see where you fit on those graphs, how often you do your scrolling, what time of day and how much of the day do you spend doing it. Graphs are always interesting. And there's a nice infographic how to stop. So we're going to look at this with the web browser because this was good. Have a screen-free bedroom. More tips before we finish. More tips. Have a screen-free bedroom. Don't allow screens into that. Don't allow them in. Just don't even allow them in. I do that. I do it, but I don't do it. I still take my Nintendo Switch to bed because I'm naughty. Read books before bed. Remember books, they're good. Sometimes I have audio books. There's a screen attached to the device, but I put the device away and listen to the book. Fine. Detox your devices. Turn off the notifications. Remove the apps. This was where I got this tip from earlier. Turn off the devices, but turn off the notifications. Remove the apps. That's huge. Remove the apps. Take a minute from DoomScrolling to think about eating the... And the billionaires are destroying Earth because they think they can survive in space. That's a real interesting point, isn't it? I never thought of it that way. Elon Musk wants us to die and he's going to live on his own in Mars. Get an alarm clock, a watch, a calendar and a notebook so you can use your phone less. That's really interesting. We put all these things on the phone. I make notes on the phone for Mental Health Monday. But I should get a pad and not use the phone. It's better for my mental health because this is a portal to endless fucking... Oh, I swore. Sorry, I don't like swearing. I'm supposed to be setting a good example. You know, if my friends' young children were to watch this, do I want to be swearing at them? No. If you're a grown-up, you don't need to swear. You've got good words, extensive vocabulary. If you haven't and you're always swearing, then you need to have a little think and get a dictionary. Get an alarm clock, a watch, a calendar. So yeah, you use your phone less. This is the portal to endless, mindless scrolling. So don't pick it up so often. Use the things that are the old ways. They're still good. Remember how to write things down. Remember when you used to have to write things down? Make a plan. Make a plan is simple, isn't it? It's straightforward. Make a plan. So you're not like, oh, today what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to scroll indefinitely until I feel like this and doing that. You know, make a plan for it. Today I'm going to do this. On the plan, I can have 20 minutes of looking at the news, but I'm not going to just every now and then just start scrolling. It's not on my plan. It's not on my chuffing plan. I thought carefully before this day about what I wanted to achieve. And on my plan, I did not write 2 hours of COVID-related endless rabbit hole. So why am I doing it? 2 phones, a TV, a computer and a tablet, and my cat's tablet right by my bed. 10,000 chippies, thank you for your chippies. I have to say actual thank yous because we don't have a magic thing on the screen that does it yet, but I actually do feel thankful. I do. You know, this is now basically my full-time income. I'm going to point towards doing streaming as full-time. You know, that's what I'm trying to gather the momentum for. So yeah, it's massively important. I massively am grateful. So I really do care. Thank you. Embrace phone-free habits. Embrace them. There's a little picture of someone on the swings. Embrace the thing. Choose to do the things that don't require the phone. Mad, isn't it? Mad idea. I go walking with the dog. I don't need the phone for that. Should I even take the phone? Maybe not. You know, the dog's not going to call me, is he? I'm in the woods. I know you are. I'm in the woods too. We don't need the phone. Decide on screen-free hours, like after 8 p.m. That's even more heavy. Certainly if you're us on Twitch and you're a gamer, we've looked earlier about how gaming is good for your mental health. How picking up the phone, no. Picking up the game, yes. How we can utilise gaming to scratch that itch of screen time, doing thing, we could talk more about gaming in the future because of course we're on Twitch and we do, but decide on screen free time, like after 8 p.m. I'm going to try that. I'm actually going to try that. One of these days this week, I'm going to say today is no screens after 8 p.m. Not even the telly. Not even the telly. Are you mad? Are you mad? What am I going to sit in front of while I eat my dinner? Just looking at the dog. Tell me a joke. But yeah, I'm going to try it because, that's positive for my mental health. If I can do it, I'll actually feel better about not doing it in the future more. Because the first time you do it, I imagine, like I just said, when you'd be like, what am I going to do? Well, I need to. I'm so used to automatically turning on the telly. What's on? I don't know. I'll find out by scrolling through it. But I don't need to. It wasn't on my plan of find out what's on telly later, find something to watch. Find something to watch. Nowadays you don't have to find it so much because it's pumped at you from so many angles. Oh. But it is, isn't it? It's pumped at you from so many angles. Sorry for my analogy. But you don't even have to find it. So, no, none of that. 8 p.m, cut off. Not this week, though, because it's Mental Health Monday. 8 p.m, every Monday, GMT, 8 p.m. I remember a time when I didn't own a TV. Yeah, do you know what? I remember a time when I didn't own all these computers and TVs. I remember a time when I had to, I thought of something, like a concept or an idea, and I wanted to find out more about it. And I had to just put it on do that tomorrow when you get into the library. I couldn't answer every question immediately. So maybe I don't need to answer every question immediately now. Maybe the fact that I can Google it doesn't mean that I need to Google it. Yeah. Maybe I can set that aside for research hour and not every time something pops up in my brain say, oh, I need to Google that and find out. What football team does so-and-so play for? Oh, I need to Google that. I don't need to. I just want to know because someone said it, and then I'm on the scrolling and, talking of football, someone said something bad racist on Twitter. And do you know what I mean? Yeah, this is where we go, isn't it? Goals. That's football related too. It all works. It all works. It all works in. It all works in. I like those. That was a good article. On DoomScrolling. There's tips for good sleep as well. They point it towards sleep as well because they sort of suggest that they've got a picture of the bed there. This is all on the World Economic Forum of all places. But they sort of suggest that doom scrolling is happening later in the evening and that it's preventing you from getting good sleep. So then they point their article towards sleep at the end. We've done an episode on sleep. We'll do more in the future. So that's good, worth looking at. I finally wanted to look at Hi. This is the reason I wanted to get to this. Hi, are you doom scrolling? Because I love the title, but it was written by Karen Ho, and she was one of the first people to popularise this concept, and that was actually her on World Economic Forum as well, I think, wasn't it? No, that's Kate Whiting. Sorry, Kate. Kate Whiting brought that to the World Economic Forum. I'm sure Karen wrote another thing that we did. I don't want to make a cross by. I don't want to make Karen cross by getting her publishing credits wrong, do I? So, but I have seen her name in other publishing related to doom scrolling. So let's be fair. But I wanted to read these tips from her perspective to finish, because she's the one that's done the most on it. I need to stay up late to date all the show that everyone's watching. FOMO disease, yeah. Oh god, yeah, to watch. I do also need to watch everything that everyone's talking about, yeah. But do I need to watch it all immediately? I find I watch these box sets and I'm like, I know that if I watch this next episode that it's going to be 4:00 in the morning, but I need to know what's happening next. But I don't. I could pause it in the middle of an episode and go to bed if I want. I've got the power, but the power has not allowed me to step away. It's forced me to watch more. It's mad, isn't it? I've got the power. I've got the phone. It's my phone. I choose. I've got the remote control. I turn it off. Yeah, I can do that. And finally, we're going to finish with these lovely words because I just think it's nice. Hi, are you doom scrolling? Hi, you doom scrolling? Sometimes we forget about our own well-being due to stress about work or a high volume of news. I don't always talk like that. Right now, it's a great time to think about if you need a glass of water, several deep breaths, or extra time to rest. You're worthy of this consideration. Oh, that's nice, isn't it? Tweet it. You can copy it and tweet it. Can you? These are suggested. Karen says that she started writing these as tweets. And the idea of the tweets, I believe there's some art in this. There's some art. This is like an art project. the idea of these tweets were to turn people off from social media. So she was going to present these ideas in exactly the place when all this doom scrolling occurs, and the idea is they would look at it and go, "Ooh, that's a tweet that I'm doom scrolling, and it's going to stop me. I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to put it down." What an interesting concept for your tweets, to encourage people to turn away from your tweets. What would my channel be like if, when you tuned in, I was here saying, turn off your, no broadcaster, no media producer in the world would suggest that as a good idea. It's not a good idea. It's a bad idea, but it's a cool idea that she's done. And I really respect it. These little paragraphs are those tweets. Strategies to cut down on doom scrolling. What does taking care of yourself look like? Is it exercise, reading more books, more time to eat breakfast, extra time to write, talking to friends, or additional rest? Would that help you more than doom scrolling? It's just a question, isn't it? If you see that pop up, you might think, oh yeah, maybe. What do you have planned offline today that will help you rest, become re-energized, or simply make you happy instead of doom scrolling? A bike ride, a great book, an afternoon nap, or overdue time with a hobby? Seeing a friend, or doggies in a park? Got to be careful there, doggies, not dogging, but doggies. Although, if dogging was your thing, you might want to go and do it instead of doom scrolling. I hope. Oh, I don't have that topic. This is a bit meta, but those sort of things are what I really love. Art. You said you've got a different Twitch for your art. I love art, and I love the fact that art is about ideas. Okay, you can do great paintings. They can be beautiful. Are they just decoration? No, of course they're beautiful art. But the art with ideas is the one that I seem to excite over. The ideas. And those are ideas, aren't they? The idea that you would write a tweet to make people think, oh, I'm going to put down my phone. Are you slouching or crunching your shoulders? That's just a short one. Are you slouching? Or it's a question as well, though. It's not you are slouching. Are you? And a lot of people, I probably am now. I've been on the computer for hours. Probably am. Stress can make you contract your back and other muscles. Gently lift your spine up. Slowly turn your head left and right. Spread your arms and hands. Pull them back slightly. Give yourself a big hug. Do all that a lot slower and less animated than I was doing it. Feel better? Have you taken time to stretch your back and neck today? How about standing up, taking a few deep breaths and slowly reaching out down to touch your toes? What interesting tweets. Maybe you're also going through a deeply stressful time. How about doing 10 or 20 deep breaths before grabbing a glass of water and tackling more work? That's a great one for me. And tackling more work at the end. Get back to work, you chuffer. What are you doing on Twitter? Get back to work, you chuffer. Stress manifests in different ways. Stress manifests itself in many different ways. You might be clenching your jaw, slouching, fidgeting, or forgetting to eat. Give yourself 5 minutes to lift your spine, roll your shoulders back, gently stretch your neck and get some water. It's good, isn't it? Good. Sport announcing videos of dog play. Yeah. It's getting confusing to me now. A sport announcer announcing videos of dogs playing. That would be nice, wouldn't it? It would actually. I got a joke that I wanted to do, but I don't know if you can do it these days in social context. But I thought of this idea of a religious Olympics, the religious Olympics. And it's not a real thing that I'm going to do, but I just thought I could do it as like a radio comedy. I could be the announcer and, do the events for the religious Olympics to find out which god is the best, because you put all your different religions into Olympic squads and then they battle it out in all the different sports. And of course, God favours the ones that are, doing the right religion, don't they? So, you have like the sprint, and if the, if the Mormons win the sprint, that might mean something, mightn't it? But what if I'm trying to be really careful because I don't want to offend anyone, but what if the Hindus won the weightlifting? What would that mean in cosmic terms? So I just thought that was a really interesting concept, and I was going to just write it as a comedy, but now I've given the idea. So create an anarchist circus in your neighbourhood to help with stress. And I hope that's anarchist and not antichrist, or it could be both, couldn't it? Antichrist circus. Oh, dear. The religious Olympics, though. That would be funny, wouldn't it? We could work out who was, who was right. Would the Pope win the shot put? I know you've been working hard and things are really tough right now. How about unclenching your jaw and giving yourself a screen break? Wait, are you still doom scrolling? That was just a little poppy one, wasn't it? A little peppy one. Wait, are you still doom scrolling? If you are, I totally get it. Staying up late might feel helpful right now, but a screen break will help your mental health much more. Sleep is still important for your body to recover from the day's stressors. Taking care of yourself through sleep, reading a book or gentle stretching can help you better tackle the week ahead, and you deserve time to recover. Self-care can be small acts, like talking to a friend, watching a favourite show, or logging off and going to bed early. That's madness, logging off and going to bed early. Whoever does logging off and going... Remember to show yourself the same kindness you do to friends and loved ones. Madness, but true. It's okay to be tired and overwhelmed. It's reasonable to be sad, frustrated, and angry. You still deserve nourishing food and adequate rest, as well as screen breaks for your mental health. I know you're trying your best. Don't forget to take care of yourself and your mental health. A full night's rest is always a good idea. Isn't that great? Those last paragraphs, which I can now edit out and put on Twitter, those last paragraphs really sum it up, don't they? In just easy general terms. Be good to yourself, have a bit more sleep, do some stretching, get off the computer, take a walk. How do I know you're trying your best? How do I know? Do you know how I do know? I do know. I do know you're trying your best. Because whatever your aim is in life, whatever your dreams are, whatever you value most, it doesn't have to always be the same as everyone else. But in general, we're human, aren't we? In general, we are all very similar, and we all, in general, fear similar things, have love for similar things, have pride, and pride's not a virtue, remember. Pride is not a virtue. Pride is one of the deadly sins. But we all look at certain things and say, that's admirable. Like the penalty takers yesterday for England, when Marcus Rashford stepped up, I just straight away I said, feeding the kids, he's a good lad. I am in awe of the steps he took to help young people that are struggling to eat in our country. Our country. You wouldn't expect poverty in a westernized country, but in our country. And he took those steps to help feed the children. I admire him. Maybe you don't. Probably you do, because most of us, we're human. We admire these courageous acts, stepping up to take a penalty. We don't admire the chuffing about and toddling and looking up there and taking dawdling time. Smash it in the back corner, son. But you know what I mean. Like, we know he was trying his best. Of course, we're trying. We're all trying, aren't we? We're all human. We all want the best, don't we, for each other, for ourselves. We all want to survive and move on, gain comfort. We all have a crack at it. We all have a shot. We've all got it in us. We all feel these things. We all struggle. I guess the reason I know you're trying your best is the reason that I know you struggle. Because I do. I try hard at stuff. I struggle at stuff. Yeah, it's not about me though, is it? It's about you. We is a better word. The first on my Twitter, the first thing you see I can get that out, can't I? I can actually get it out and show you by turning off the browser for a second in case it brings up something horrible on Twitter, and just going Twitter, the keyboard turns itself off when you're not typing on it. Now I'm chuffing typing on it, aren't I? So come on. Keyboard, no. Okay, keyboard's done, so I can't do it. I can't do it. Keyboard's run out of batteries. That'll have to be fixed. But yeah, no, it was it. That's nice that it's life affirming. It turns out you are human. Good, because if you responded with like, no, that doesn't apply to me, then I'd be like, but yeah, no, like, good. That's the truth of it. That's the truth. That's the real life. That's the real life. That's the truth. We feel these things. We're human, and it's okay. It's not just it's okay. It's good, isn't it? It's the real life. We don't have to pretend it's not. We sometimes cry. And I was going to show you that on my Twitter. I'm so confused with all these different social outputs, but I put the picture of Muhammad Ali fighting, his silhouette, his boxing silhouette, training, not fighting, but training, building himself up to fight. And his favourite poem that he wrote is me, we. Just those words, me, we. And I agree. I totally agree with that. I love the fact, I love Muhammad Ali in so many ways, but I love the image of him training to fight. Working hard, building yourself up for the fight. We all have to do that. And we all go through fights. We live in a... not we. Me. Okay, so I can't type it. We'll never know. The first one with the two letters, we. Me, us. I am us. We are me. Not me, I need a we. Me, we. Or me, I'm small. No, but it's poetry, so it could be, it could be. But no, I think the main one was, we are all us, aren't we? We are all. And we all build ourselves up for the fight. We all have to fight. Sometimes I was going to say that, our grandparents fought a war so that we could have this joy in the world. And, we fight against inhumane behaviour. We stand up against bullies, don't we? We all have to fight. That's human. So, yeah, that's my favourite poem as well, and that's on my Twitter. That's what I was just going to say. That's what we all are. Me, we. That's why it's life affirming, because we are, good. I'm happy with that. And I believe that's it for us now tonight, isn't it? Nearly done 2 hours, which for me is a long time on stream. And we've covered these topics. Doom scrolling was tonight's topic. We've covered that. Yeah, I think we've done good. I'm going to briefly light on the Samaritans finally. If you're having mental health, crises, and you're in the UK, there's a number you can call. But it's not just mental health crises. If that Marcus Rashford chat was making you think, I've got problems feeding my kids this week, or I'm having trouble at school because I'm being bullied because I missed a penalty in that football game, or if someone's giving you racist abuse on the internet, anything that makes you feel down, you can call the Samaritans 116123. It's free. Don't let things get to the jumping off the cliff end. Don't let them get down that end. We're here. We can, as we've seen, we're all human together. We can help you before you get to that. But all equally, if you're at that stress point, if you're at that really stress point, remember I've said this, when you get to that stress point in your life, because we all encounter them, remember that we've said this, there's someone to call, there's someone to talk to. You can talk to us in chat, you can talk to your friends. Mental Health Monday. I'm happy with that. Thank you very much for saying it's a good stream. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here, Snips. Thank you for being here, Nigel. Thank you for being here in chat, not in chat, sorry, in, lurking, if you've been lurking. I really appreciate it. Woo! Look at all the gifties. Look at that. That's presents. That's gifts. Say thank you. You've been good. You have been good. Snips is 20. 20. I need to move the. I'll just tell you, it's 20 subs. I haven't got the automatic pop-ups. That's thank you. We thank you. I thank you on their behalf. Thank you on their behalf. I really appreciate it. Let's keep sharing this. Let's keep. I'm not just saying this like share my material to share my media, but you know what I mean. Let's keep sharing this vibe. Let's keep pushing this vibe. Let's keep making it heard. Let's keep doing that. Let's make sure that when people are doom scrolling this week, you've been here now. Help them. Somebody else. Pass that on. When someone's doom scrolling, they see your Twitch. They see your tweet, they see your Facebook thing, and it says something different. It says, are you doom scrolling? It says, I'm here to help you. It says, I've got free time if you want to, if you need someone to lend a hand on your thing, whatever it is. You do your bit now. You've done your bit, Snips. You can chill out. Everyone else I'm talking to, everyone who got gifted a sub, it's onto them to share that love further. Okay, so you be good, my little puckos. I'm going to knock off now and go and walk the dog, because he needs his little poopy time. And I'll be back again this week. We're playing Firewatch this week. So I'll be back again this week. You be good. And if you can't be good, you're naughty.